What's up, you guys? Beautiful outside today. I wanted to take a minute and talk about different phases or different types even of Jiu-Jitsu. And I'm not talking about the different styles of Jiu-Jitsu necessarily as I am within Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu itself, the different types of Jiu-Jitsu. So start out with the idea of phases. So me personally, I think I've gone through all of these phases. So as a younger man practicing Jiu-Jitsu, even before the UFC, practicing in starting 1992, how you doing? And then in 1993, there was the UFC. So what you saw then was no holds barred Jiu-Jitsu. You saw the bare knuckle, no holds barred style of Jiu-Jitsu. So that's how we practiced. That's how we practiced in the beginning. For me, we practiced bare knuckle fighting, very self-defense oriented Jiu-Jitsu. It was very rough, very hard, and very grueling just about every single time that we trained. And I'm very thankful for having gone through that in my Jiu-Jitsu. There's something that you learn through that, but you can't learn any other way. You can only learn it by doing that. So I started out learning Jiu-Jitsu that way. Eventually, I started to realize, as a business, that obviously not everybody wants to do that. And your business is going to be very small if that's what you're catering to and focusing on. So I began to kind of switch it up, actually change the name of the business that my father started, SelfDefense Tactics Incorporated, to Clinch Academy, as kind of that transition phase where we began to focus more on the sports of Jiu-Jitsu and the sports of mixed martial arts. We still practiced self-defense, of course, within that. We still practice combatives. We practice that today, but the focus was a little different. We in our Jiu-Jitsu class, we weren't necessarily doing striking, but we were doing that kind of stuff in our mixed martial arts, where we combined the striking and the grappling together, and still did that, so you could still learn those things together. But not so focused on the idea of self-defense, because it's still completely different. Then, so you have the self-defense phase, you have and when I say the self-defense phase, I'm talking about if you really want to learn self-defense, you can't just practice self-defense techniques. You have to train as if your life depended on it almost, to really know what you're doing, to really know how to handle that type of situation. That's what my father believed. That's how you have to train, and that's what we did all the time. So we have that, and then you have the sport of Jiu-Jitsu. Being able to compete, train for competitions, still can be very aggressive and very heavy training when you're doing that. And that is great. That's good too. But once again, not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants to learn self-defense and the manner that I believe you really should learn self-defense. And then not everybody wants to compete, and not everybody wants to train that hard. So then you have, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu art, right? Just practicing the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And that can be whatever you want it to be. It could be self-defense, it could be competition, it could be just learning the techniques and developing the techniques through open mat training, various drills and rolling, still trying to be efficient. My life journey in the art of Jiu-Jitsu, just the Jiu-Jitsu itself, is efficiency, minimum effort, maximum damage. That's the goal, the gentle art. I try to use as little energy as needed, not too much, not too little. And that's my goal as I continue to increase and excel in Jiu-Jitsu, is to master that. And that's kind of the art of Jiu-Jitsu. That's being, you're learning to be very creative and artistic in your approach. So you have that, and then you also just kind of have like the jiu-jitsu hobby. Some people just do it for the hobby, for the fitness. They want to come in, get a good workout, talk to some people, have fun, and be able to go home, go to work the next day without being hurt and injured. So you have these different kind of types and phases of jiu-jitsu. I've kind of been through all of that. Now I'm kind of at the point, I'm 40 years old. I'm at the point where I just focus more on the hobby and the art of jiu-jitsu. I'm not so worried about being super competitive with it. I'm not so worried about even the self-defense. Like I like to practice the self-defense, the techniques and the slap fighting and those things, but I'm not going to train in self-defense like I used to. My body just can't even handle that anymore, so I'm beyond that. Now, some people don't start jiu-jitsu until they're 40 years old. So they're more than likely, most of those people are never even going to experience that high intensity self-defense training, or maybe even the high intensity competitive training that some of the younger people do. So their jiu-jitsu is going to be a little different. There's going to be something that they're missing out on when it comes to a certain level of efficiency, strategy, and mindset that they're going to be missing out on. And that's okay, right? We have to learn to be okay with those things. Some people might not start till they're 50 or maybe even 60, who knows, right? Like, people are going to start jiu-jitsu at different times in their life, and therefore they're also going to be in a different phase automatically of jiu-jitsu. Some things you can only do, at a younger age, and unless you started jiu-jitsu at a younger age, you're going to miss that phase, and that's going to change your overall jiu-jitsu game. And that's why you have different kinds of black belts as well. You have some black belts that were jiu-jitsu hobbyists and artists, and they're really good. They can practice the techniques, and they can they can roll well and do all of that. But against other types of black belts who have been through all that hard, intense training, there's a big difference still, right? And so we have to learn to be okay with that. I think as school owners, we have to be okay with the different phases of jiu-jitsu, the different types of jiu-jitsu. There's going to be a time where me, as a black belt, I feel like my jiu-jitsu is getting better and better and better all the time. But as my jiu-jitsu is increasing, at some point, my body is decreasing, right? Little by little, the body is going to be decreasing. Now, I feel like I'm still in pretty good shape. I still roll a lot, but I'm definitely not like I was when I was 20. There's obviously a big difference. And when you get injured now, it lasts a lot longer, those sort of things. So even as I am increasing in jiu-jitsu, my body's decreasing, and I have to be okay with the fact that there might be some young athletes coming in that want to train hard and fight hard. I have to be okay sometimes just to say, that's not for me today. Or, even maybe roll with them, try not to fight back so I don't get hurt, and, possibly get tapped out. Those things are going to happen at some point. So by lower level students, young athletic blue belts and purple belts, could already do that if they're really competitive. So, even as instructors, we have to be okay with the different phases of jiu-jitsu. It's like, what are you doing it for? Well, at this point, I'm doing it to share with other people, to help them grow and experience the beautiful art of jiu-jitsu, and provide the different phases for those who want to be a part of those different phases, and then also to continue growing in the art of jiu-jitsu myself, and how jiu-jitsu applies to everyday life, and not just self-defense or just competition even. There's many more aspects of jiu-jitsu that we can apply than those things. I kind of got to that one point where I was like, I train hard all the time. I'm fighting hard, and I've never even had to defend myself. I'm fighting so hard to be able to defend myself, and I've never even really had to do it. And it's just kind of like an eye-opener for me. It's like, well, there's things that I'm learning from jiu-jitsu that are practical in everyday life, when we're talking about the art of it and the way of life. There's things that are practical in everyday life that are more important than the actual self-defense itself. The self-defense The art and the practice are just the tool to help us perform in life better and to make better choices, to make healthier choices, to grow in relationships and learn to take things like patience and perseverance, dedication, commitment, and apply those to our relationships, just like we do on the mat when we're training. Those are other things that we're learning from Jiu-Jitsu. So yeah, just a thought. Jiu-Jitsu has different phases. It's not always about who's the best, who's the baddest, who trains the hardest. Yeah, there's a time for that, but it's not going to last forever. And some people come in at different times, and so they might not even experience certain levels of training that you have experienced. And I think as academy owners, as instructors, it's our job to know that and to put people and to teach people how to approach jiu-jitsu based on where they're at in life and make that available to them, right? So we definitely do that here at Clinch Academy. We have self-defense at Clinch Academy. We have competition. We have mixed martial arts. We have most of the people come in just to have fun, hang out, get good exercise, and learn the art of jiu-jitsu. So we have it all. Again, if you guys are ever interested in coming to try a class, you can just put hashtag 2 free classes, and I'll get in touch with you and I'll hook you up with 2 free classes. You should come join us. We're family friendly, we're safe, we're fun, we're clean, and we would love to have you. All right, you guys have a good day. We'll talk again soon. What's up, buddy?